welcome to yet another episode of Tea Talks, which is sponsored by Being Dubai. And as you see today, I am your host, Jessica Washington, and we are here to have another insightful conversation. This time we're going to focus on a different type of topic. We usually talk about what's in the classroom, we talk about interviewing and techniques, but what I have the distinct pleasure in talking to three people that are all educators here in Dubai, the UAE area, but they've also became something else. And so this one is more so about finding out your dreams, investing in them, and just becoming a little bit more than just your standard resume. So I want to first of all introduce, you are?
Emmaneul, but everyone just says Emmy from Vancouver.
Vancouver, Canada, yes.
And I'm Zenani Fogg from Durham, North Carolina.
And I'm Brianna Billings from Houston, Texas.
Okay, so we saw your little North Carolina shout out. I hope you feel better about life right now.
Oh, we can throw it. We can throw it.
So what do you do for Canada, right? We're repping.
Oh, I thought I missed something. I was like, what happened in North Carolina?
You can represent Drake. You can try.
Drake is from the opposite side. We claim him. I'm just saying, like, that's a lot of people think, oh, you're from Canada? I've been to Toronto. I'm like, okay, well, like, where are you from? Like, LA? I'm like, I've been to Nebraska. That's like the difference. That's like pretty much the same thing. Like, Toronto's over here and Vancouver's over here.
Okay.
So not same.
Not even close.
Not the same,
complete
yeah.
opposite side of the country.
So let's talk. We know, and let's just go ahead and go through. Everyone's an educator. What do you guys teach or currently work as?
Am I starting?
Yeah.
I was teaching English here for 3 years, and now I'm teaching PE in Dubai.
I have an interesting position. So I'm not in the classroom, and I'm helping facilitate a computer program that supports math and reading instruction.
Awesome. Opportunities.
And I just teach PE.
You just teach.
I just teach PE. I keep it very simple. Just PE. Yeah, it is very important.
Well, the main reason why we're talking today is that I kind of said it and alluded to earlier that everybody here is now in hands. You've developed something else, a whole different resume, perchance, with your skill set. And we're going to really dive into that. So I've been starting over here, so it makes you feel like you're in the pressure box. So I'll start
Yeah, no problem. Oh, okay.
Oh, what was?
I mean, I was ready, but.
So, Emmy, what else have you been able to develop out here?
Well, it's funny. I thought like my resume was kind of impressive until you kind of went over what they're doing. Like, why am I here? I got like one.
You still impressive.
No, you're so impressive.
No, I've been here for 3.5 years. I came here in 2015 and living in LA down the road, hour and a half. And the one thing I realized that there is so many opportunities for the because as opposed to living back home, I was coaching basketball before school, teaching during the day, coaching basketball after school, and then coaching basketball after school, which was a paid job. So my days were like 13 to 16 hours long. And in Vancouver, like where I'm from, the standard of pay, like our province is like third from the bottom, like across the country. But like the highest, like what's the cost of living. So after a while, I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm gonna drown. So first thing I realized out here is that the opportunity for Ann is there because I had so much time.
Oh, wow.
I get home from work at like 2. I'll be just chilling in my 2-bedroom house. Like, all right, what am I gonna do?
Yes, 2.
Yeah, 2 bedrooms.
What happened?
Yeah, 2 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was playing basketball. I would drive from LA and come up to Dubai at least twice a week to play just like a men's league, like a rec league.
Yes.
Guys who play professional, guys who played college or whatever, but it's you pay to play. Same like you played in. Yeah. Shout out to your team.
Hustlers.
Yep. And then I just kind of stayed relevant within the whole basketball community. And then the rules for the UAE Basketball League changed over the summer, where they were allowing more than 1 import. So they're allowing 2 imports, and then people who have residence visas, people who've been here for at least 3 years. So I was like, all right, well, let me try it. I got in contact with about 8 coaches, and I was just mass texting them from Vancouver in the summer. And then 2 of them invited me to a training camp. I had no agent, nothing. I just showed up at 35 and a half years old, washed up, and somehow made a team. And then I was playing professional basketball.
So let's stop. Your aunt is, you are a professional basketball player.
Right.
Okay, like you're a professional basketball player. First of all, congratulations, because I do know that's a dream that many people have.
Yeah.
And you got to get that title.
Yeah, it was at 35.
And
I 35 and a half. I didn't think. Well, I played semi-pro back in Vancouver. There was a league that came to Vancouver just randomly, and I tried out for that. And I was still teaching. I'd been teaching for about 4 years. So I would coach in the morning, teach, and then go play pro basketball in the evenings. Like my students would come to the games, and I'm signing autographs for students. I'm like, bro, I see you every day, and like, period 2. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, being able to play again here, like pretty much 10 years later, was crazy. I never thought that would happen.
Oh, wow.
So it was cool.
So now your aunt.
My end. So I feel like my end was delayed and it wasn't something that I was seeking at all. So, and it's still awkward to refer to myself as an artist, or when I get an email that says, "Dear artist," it's like, who are you talking to? So I came to UAE in 2014. And from 2014 to 2017, I went home for a year and came back. In 2015, or by then it was 2016, a few months after my father passed, I was sitting in my apartment on the couch, sorting through a myriad of emotions. And I was looking out my window, as you referred to our housing. These beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows with an amazing view, and I'm looking out the window, and I was thinking about colors. And I thought to myself, I want to paint my window. So I went across the street. There was an art store across the street, and as I'm walking, I'm Googling what kind of paint comes off of windows, because I knew I would need to move at some point and take the paint off. And acrylic paint is what Google said, so I went and I bought a sample kit of acrylic paint, and I painted my balcony doors, and it felt good. And nothing had felt good for 6 months. So that spoke to me that something finally felt good. So I started to buy just small size canvas and paint here and there, just whatever was inside of me, however it came out. And I thought it was something that was fun because it felt good, and not really something that I wanted to pursue. After returning to UAE in 2018, I just so happened to see a post on Instagram. There was an art gallery in Dubai that was having a call for artists, and I said, what the hell? I can fill out the information. The worst thing they can say is no. That doesn't mean that I have any less value. This is my pep talk.
I'm
preparing for
I am worthy.
It's okay. I still matter. But they didn't say no. They said yes, and I was like,
No.
me?
Yes.
I matter. So, I had my first art exhibit, or participating in a group art exhibit, in November.
Yes.
And participated in another exhibit in January, and represented the United States of America in a women's exhibition.
I mean, just did that. You just happened to represent all of the USA.
A black woman represents the United States of America.
Power, always.
And organized a multi-sensory exhibit that had its first one run in April, and we'll have another in next week. Will be a second opening.
Yeah.
And I'm giving an art talk next week. I don't know what an art talk is.
You about to find out.
Googling.
Have you never painted before?
No. Actually, that's a lie. I took an art class in undergrad that I just had to, as a part of my major for elementary education.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
And I felt so inferior because there were art majors in that class.
With the words and the abstraction of the, yes.
And we would have to present, and I'm like, oh, this is what I made.
Right.
Look at mine. And they're like, that's cute. So, no formal training or anything, just watching YouTube tutorials and
falling into your hand.
Yeah.
Falling into your hand. Yes. Wow. No.
I know, right? I'm have to like make some massive story up. So back in 1990, I was. Okay, so my ends have changed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
From the beginning of me being in Abu Dhabi, well, Dubai. I originally was in Fujairah, so I was just in a small area, so it was very boring. Like you said, I got off at work at like 1:30. I go work out. By 2:30, I'm back at the house. I'm done, and by 3, I'm looking at the walls like, what do I do next? So it's just a lot of time and opportunity here. And being a PE teacher, I was also a coach, so I was the busybody. So my life for the last 8 years was coaching, high school, middle school, coaching. So the busy lifestyle was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, getting home about 8, 9 o'clock from if it's practice to game days and all of those things in between. That it was just kind of, I felt bored.
Bored and busy.
Bored and busy. Mentally busy and just sitting there bored. But for me, fitness, of course, has always been fun. So I originally started my end as a spin instructor. Like when I first met you, when we started talking, and I was inviting people out to come in class. And it was cycle spin. So of course it has the music component and everything. So that's my passion. We'll get to that in a second. But it was just something to stay engaged, meet new people. Working out here, I worked at a local school, so I only had 95% of the staff was Arabic, and so they didn't speak very much English. So most of the day, the only people I talked to were the little people, and it was broken English. So I just needed an outlet to have a conversation with somebody that, if it was sports, if it was food, if it was anything other than classwork, because after a day full of that, it's time to go. So moved from there to decided to hang out a little bit more because I was in Fujairah, which was a bit further out from Dubai, about an hour away. Started coming in, started going to clubs and hanging out, and I didn't see a lot of women DJs. In Texas and Houston, in Dallas, we have a lot of mixed DJs. You'll come in, you'll see female, you'll see male, but the people that represented the urban DJs didn't look like us.
Right.
So for me, I'm just like, why are you playing this? What is this? And it didn't give me that feel that I was used to, I guess, from being back home with the music and being out in the social environment. So talking to a few DJs that I knew out here, they were like, okay. So I went to a few classes, drove to Atlanta at the time to have some classes, and then YouTube. And so I bought the equipment and I got to my room, and so every day about 4 to 8 I was in there working, practicing, listening to stuff, watching, doing music research. Then after a while I just got comfortable, and we had a iftar my first year, and it was with a group of friends, and so I was like, oh, I'll DJ, I'll provide the music. And so it was like my official first gig, and I came out, set up, and I played, and it was like, oh my God, you're so good, and I was just like, really? And they was like, you should be a DJ, and I was like, because if you ever come to my house, there's always probably music playing. Always conversation about something that's going to end up in either sports or music. So sorry, I'm boring, but that's just the way it was. So I picked it up, I played a few times, then I got another gig, and then somebody else was like, oh, will you play for me? And then I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is real. And now, a year and a half later, I'm here.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
First and foremost, just the inspiration behind every story. And I do think that one of the common themes that we do see here is the time to follow that inspiration. You had time to actually go out and position yourself in front of coaches and run and just do that. You had time to just sit and develop your thoughts and your feelings and be able to say, this is what I want to do. And I know, Brianna, you have time just to do everything, because that's one of her ends. And you do too much. You stress me out. But be able to have that time. And because I never talk about what we do now versus America, versus those. Because what we're saying is that we managed to invest in ourselves. But do you foresee being able to do the things that you're doing now without have taken this leap of faith to say, I want to travel or teach abroad?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Those opportunities aren't really there, and I don't know how many professional basketball leagues are picking up guys like well into their 30s to go play. Like you got guys who are 25, 24.
Yeah.
Well, good knees.
Yeah, with good knees. I've had 3 knee surgeries. Yes, exactly. So I literally have 1 leg. I'm like, how am I out here? But just the way it just helped me, like the way the league is formatted, allowed me to play because you play ball above all, and you know my team won. Well, we won 1 championship. I played pretty well. You know, at a couple of the tournaments, so the XP and all that stuff. So some of the coaches kind of knew me, but not really. But I was able just to go in there and just show that I can actually still play. But this wouldn't happen in Canada. This will not happen in the States in 2018. For me, no chance. And I'm cool with that. Like, I was cool with basketball before this too. Like I didn't need to play. I was just like, let me just go see what happens. And then,
You have a story. You get to have You get to have a story.
Yeah.
And so talking about that, let's get a little bit more technical because while we all have time, every hobby costs and the finances behind that. So I don't want to say how did that look because I'm not into your pockets. And I can kind of tell you with my story is that because of the tax-free salary, because of those things, I found myself being able to have extra money, you know, or before anybody called me asking for something.
Be like, oh, you got money, you can buy. Right.
No, ain't nobody has that. I think the thing is that you can, well, I will take it. I think everyone has accommodations. So what you would take with your normal housing, you're able to say, hey, let me put something off to the side and be able to save that or use that.
Sure.
And that's the truth because for me, with the school that I'm at, we get accommodations. Everyone who comes over here gets free medical. And those things that we would look at our check in the States and be like, why? I didn't even go to the doctor this month. I ain't been to the doctor in 4 months. And you're still, exactly, like, can I get a reduced, but this is the lowest of the low. So those type of things, and then with the housing, and it's just, you still get a comfortable accommodations, nice accommodations compared to what you would have in the States. And then another thing is gas. Gas is very cheap out here compared to the States. Like spending $10 to $13 a week for gas versus when I was in the States spending $60. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start running and rolling, it can add up tremendously. So those things very, very much so make things a lot easier. Plus, I'm a Taliban InstaShop person.
Yes.
So the timing that you have to not have to go to the grocery store and not have to go to and have someone bring you food that's good actually and still warm. And all of the things between, come pick up your laundry and all of the different amenities that you receive here, it just helps you with the time that you have to invest in yourself and be a lot more carefree.
I agree with the carefree aspect. I took a year in between to go home and to travel, and in that time, you know, of course I was still in contact with my friends here in UAE, and just watching from a different distance, so to speak, at how people were still growing so much with their ands. Like this person that's a teacher and just published a book. At home, you really don't have the time to do that because you're working a 12-hour day or 10-hour day, 16-hour day.
I would love to say it's also a hustle at home.
Exactly.
Right.
Like it's a legitimate hustle. You gotta put in the time. You gotta put in the work. You have to put in the energy. You really have to treat it as another job, which is another spent and all that other stuff. And I like what you said, where here is an and. I get to do these things, and
It's not that much added pressure.
And I have the time, the capital of the financial capital and the time capital, we can make that word up, to actually do it. I was volunteering at Art Dubai in March, and I was talking with a gallerist that had just moved here from London, and she was talking about how, you know, Dubai has this international buzz, as the same as New York and London, Miami, these other places, but all the niches here are easier to get into. Not easier. You guys know what I'm saying? Like
there's less resistance here. I feel like for me, my end was a little bit different. But like at home, I felt there's always again pressures of time, money, opportunities, and I always felt like, okay, I could try to pursue this, but I'm not going to sleep tonight, or I'm going to be hungry, or not hungry. It's not like I'm struggling, but like you have to sacrifice something here.
Your kid's about to get that lesson plan.
Yeah, you show up tomorrow morning. But here, I feel there's just opportunity. Like if you want to be a DJ, then it's up to you whether you want to be a DJ, because the opportunity is going to be there. But like, are you going to like go buy the equipment? Are you going to invest in yourself? Are you going to spend that money? Are you going to take classes? If you want to do all that, then you can be a DJ. And Dubai's just sitting here like, all right, cool. Like,
you want to come do it?
I was going to say, I think it's one thing, and this could be, so you can tell me I'm wrong, because it could be my experience. I felt like there was more of a critique for me in the States. Like I still did the same things. I still wrote books. I still wanted to do this, but I always felt like it was always going through a glass. And it's like, it's gotta be perfect. I gotta be this, I gotta be that. Where there is a heartwarming feature of people being friendly here. And there is, you do art? When? Okay, I'm gonna come.
Exactly.
And it's more that you have more chance to explore and try. And I don't know if that judgment is there.
Absolutely. So that was one thing that I was going to say. Like in the States, I feel like there are opportunities, but then you have so much resistance. Like here, for me, I'm a DJ. You know, they took me at that. I perform. They like it. It is what it is. In the States, I feel like if I were to go out and be like, oh, I'm this new DJ, they'd be like, oh, okay. And you don't get the opportunities to actually grow and develop. Like the openness that you receive from people out here is so much more than what you would possibly receive at home. Like you'll have supporters, but you don't get the opportunities to actually do it. You'd be like, oh, she's new, we'll give her some time. But out here, I'm performing in front of 5,000 people. I'm doing the Reggae Beach Fest, where it's thousands of people out there, and people who, if I went to the States and said that, they'd be looking at me like, you're not ready.
And you know, I just looked into the juice with Queen Latifah and being like, get out! Like we're used to having to go through this process to prove ourselves through people that sometimes we don't even know have the right to actually judge and put you through it. So
absolutely.
I feel also it's probably the same for the two of you. Like it's back at home in Vancouver or in the States. Like you have to prove yourself to people who know you. It's like, but you come here and the strangers are like,
they're more willing to take you in.
Absolutely.
Like I had to play in front of my friends when they came to Dubai. I did a yacht party for them, and they were like, "Oh, you are good." Like they were, and I'm like,
I know.
"What do you mean? You're supposed to be number one." Like even if I wasn't supposed to support me, but you know, but thank you. But it took for them to actually come and do it. But perfect strangers never hurt. Oh yeah, and they're fine, no questions asked. And it was just kind of funny because I'm like, okay, thank you for your validation. I didn't, but I needed it, but I didn't. But it was just like, why is that even the way you start the conversation or even have that thought process? Like you accept perfect strangers, but the people in your circle you question and judge so much harder. So I mean, I think when you get out of that and you get over here, it's so much freer. Like you don't have to feel like you're proving yourself, which then you take away that social pressure. Then it allows you the opportunity to develop so much more, and you're able to step outside of the box, and you don't have to go to what you feel like they want and they need and things like that. So it makes things a lot less stressful in that situation.
I find myself being able to not have to prove myself so much in my as I do in my day-to-day. Like there's a lot more prove yourself, like my degrees.
With an S.
And certifications.
But I pay too much to Sally Mae for y'all to keep questioning me.
I owe too much money.
I owe too much
to still have to prove myself.
Sally Mae, that is your school loan.
Oh yeah.
I'm not praised now.
Yeah, but it's for you to ask me questions about curriculum.
No, not because I ain't like not paying.
On camera.
No, I don't pay. Let me get it right. I don't pay Sally Mae because I went to school on scholarship.
Amen.
Okay. Yay.
Sports scholarship?
No, academic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to.
Let me tell you about Brianna. Brianna is right there in Wakanda at the end game with a spear. Like she's part of that crew that's just gonna save the end of the world. She might be running with the spin class.
Right.
She might be doing soundtrack.
Right.
She might be going this way.
I'm like, don't get twisted. I love sport. But I have.
Of course, yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and say thank you so much for joining us. This has been just an insightful conversation, just an insightful. So if we all can raise our glass
Hey, turn that.
to this tea.
Yes.
And thank you so much, and we will definitely see you next time.